Welcome, my curious companions of the cosmos. This is part 3 of a new series where we're diving into the most famous arguments of God. But here's the catch. At the end of this series, we'll be making a tier list on all the arguments we've explored.
All of them?
Yes, you heard that right. Arguments for God, ranked. But for today, let's focus on what's at hand, the Kalam's cosmological argument. The Kalam, the magnum opus of apologetics. If you've ever seen a theist and an atheist debate, chances are you've heard this argument at least once. It's the go-to for apologists, partly because it's short and sweet, like a cosmic elevator pitch. Here it is in all of its glory.
Everything that exists has a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe's cause was God.
Now before we get into the weeds, let me tweak that first premises slightly. Anything that begins to exist has a cause. See, people often misinterpret this argument as saying anything that exists has a cause, but it's not quite right. I exist, you exist, my next door neighbour Joshua exists, but we're not all created in the same way. Kalam only focuses on things that begin to exist. The Kalam argument was popularised by philosopher William Lane Craig, but its roots go way back. Kalam is an Arabic term, and it has its origins in medieval Islamic philosophy, particularly the works of Al-Ghazali. Fast forward a few centuries, and Craig dusts it off, polishes it up, and turns it into the apologetic Swiss Army knife we know today. Okay, so let's unpack this. Premises 1. Anything that begins to exist has a cause. Simple enough, right? If you bake a cake, the ingredients don't just materialise in your kitchen, unless you're Gordon Ramsay, in which case, I guess you are the cause.
Cake! Everybody loves cakes. Cakes have layers.
Premises 2. The universe began to exist. This one's a bit trickier. The Kalam argument leans heavily on the Big Bang Theory, not the sitcom, although honestly that might be more fun to debate.
No kidding.
The scientific Big Bang Theory describes a moment roughly 13.8 billion years ago when the universe sprang into existence. Apologists argue that if the universe had a beginning, then it must have had a cause, and so boom, God did it. Or did he? Now it is worth noting that some interpretations of the Bible suggest the world is only 6,000 to 10,000 years old based on literal reading of genealogies or creation accounts. This stands in stark contrast to the scientific consensus, raising additional questions about how these religious traditions reconcile with modern cosmology. Here's where it gets juicy. Because I'll admit it myself, this argument is definitely compelling on its own, but it's not without its critics. Let's explain some of the most popular counters. Number 1. Quantum mechanics shenanigans. In the quantum realm, things get weird. For example, virtual particles seem to pop in and out of existence without discernible cause. Skeptics argue this could have happened on a cosmic scale. Who needs a cause when you got quantum randomness? Number 2. Infinite regress. Apologists claim that an infinite past is impossible, but some scientists and philosophers disagree. What if the universe is part of an eternal cycle? A cosmic Groundhog Day of expansion and collapse, no cause needed, just infinite do-overs.
Forever and ever and ever and ever.
Number 3. Who's to say it's God? Even if we grant the universe had a cause, who's to say it's the Christian God? I've covered this kind of rebuttal in previous videos, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Now before we wrap up, let's clear up a few misconceptions. Misconception 1. Everything has a cause. No. The Kalam argument only talks about things that begin to exist. Misconception 2. The Big Bang proves God. Not really, it's evidence for a cosmic beginning, but it's a leap to go from a cause to God caused it. Misconception 3. Science has disproven the Kalam. Not exactly. See, while quantum mechanics and multiverse theories complicate things, they don't outright refute it. It's more about whether the argument holds up under scrutiny. Misconception 4. The argument claims to know how the universe began. Actually, the Kalam only argues that the universe had a cause, not what that cause looks like or how it operates. Misconception 5. The cause must be outside of time and space. While proponents of Kalam often say this, the argument doesn't logically require it. It's more of an added assumption. It stems from the idea of the universe must transcend its effects. However, critics point out that this leap assumes further properties about the cause, example of immateriality, timelessness, without evidence. Furthermore, the necessity of such a cause being outside of time and space is more of a philosophical preference rather than a scientific requirement. Last but not least, misconception 6. If the universe needed a cause, and so does God. This is a misunderstanding of the argument, as apologetics often say that God had never began to exist, but rather he had always existed. Yet they can use this logic for God, but they can't for the universe. So is the Kalam cosmological argument a slam dunk for theism? Not quite. It's more like a half-court shot that occasionally lands but bounces off the rim. It's undeniably popular because it's simple, intuitive, and easy to present in debates, but when you dig deeper, you find significant cracks in its foundation. Despite this, it remains a fascinating argument that has sparked countless debates and arguments, and continues to be a cornerstone of philosophical and theological discussion. And remember, this is just the beginning of our journey. By the end of this series, we're going to rank all of these arguments and decide which ones are worth their salt. Until then, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Does the Kalam hold up for you, or just another cosmic red herring? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and share with a friend who loves a good philosophical showdown. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.